Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be showing you a 1 vs 1 game played between myself and Weekend on Wilderness. This game was played earlier today. And the purpose of this video is not to show you an entertaining game or general gameplay in and of itself, but to show you how to make a good build on location for Wilderness. This location and map as a result have gotten a reputation of being unbalanced, unfair, and unplayable since location 4 is so weak. This isn't without good cause and good reasoning. We'll quickly go over what makes location 4 a difficult location. Now the primary thing is gold. Gold is very far away, no matter which direction you go to take it. There are 2 gold clumps you see down here, 200 gold ore in this pile, and 300 gold ore up here. Now if you go down here, this gold is reasonably close, but there's no coal nearby. So you'll need to either take coal from over here, which is quite distant, considering the distance you've had to travel to get that gold, and the distance of the coal up here is quite far as well. In addition, the stone is not near your storehouse at all either. If the stone was right above your storehouse, you could quickly, much more quickly, just ignore this area altogether and grab the gold up here right off the bat. But you need to make a road over here to grab the stone, which is quite far away from your storehouse. Those two things, the distance of gold and coal together and stone, make this location quite difficult. However, we'll quickly go over what makes the location nice, and that's the large amount of trees. You won't have any problems with wood on this location. There's many trees down here. There are many trees over here. Plenty of space to make additional woodcutters up here. Plenty of trees up here, and space to make woodcutters if you decide. And the location is reasonably easy to defend. You can either make a blockade here and have a good amount of bowmen here, maybe some here, and collect your melee somewhere in this area, with your coal mines of course up in this main coal of yours. And you can form either towers here, which will nicely cut off this choke point here, or my preferred method, put a tower here, maybe a market here to block it off a little better. So a market here, tower here, and towers down here. The reason I like this better is because it's much faster, and it's difficult for the enemy to push down in here. After the stone gets chopped away quite a bit, you can easily locate bowmen diagonally right here, and bowmen here as well. And it'll be very difficult for your enemy to push down through here. In fact, this space over here is much more concerning when it comes to defense, since you don't have a lot of room to put your soldiers and towers when your coal mines are up here. A strategy would be to only place coal mines up here and have all your weapon production in this area down here below the second patch of iron, which is definitely possible. You could have your barracks in this location, maybe here or down here, and only put woodcutters up in this area. Obviously that'll slow you down a bit since all your coal is in the top, but this will enable you a much better defense. And if your opponent playing on location 2 is very strong and you're concerned about most of the action being right here, that is something you definitely want to consider. Okay, now there are 2 main ideas in this location when playing. The first idea is to make a long road up through here, right off the bat, to grab the gold, and on the way, you grab the coal. This has an advantage since you have a long road through your coal, and you won't need to worry about making a road for your coal mines for almost the rest of the game, right off the bat. However, it's very far away, and you're unlikely to have any gold being made before 18 minutes, if you're lucky. More realistically, your gold production will be starting around 20 minutes. In this case, you will have to go for double gold smelter right away as soon as possible, and you will not want to make any more than 15 or 18 laborers, or else face major consequences with your gold production. Now, because starting stone on this map is so high, 90, some players like to put double school to enable them to get their builders up a little faster and grab that gold as soon as possible. I myself don't fancy this strategy, but it is definitely viable. Another strategy is, because of this large amount of stone, place a maximum of 3, even 2 stonemasons are possible before as you make the road down to the gold. It is actually possible to make a road down to this gold and make a reasonable base along the way without making a single stonemason. However, of course, this will cause you problems as you'll run out of stone, but it is theoretically possible. Therefore, the strategy which I use today and show you, the idea is to grab this gold as quickly as possible, making a few stonemasons and a couple of woodcutters on the way, while grabbing simultaneously microing a builder or two up through this road to grab this coal as soon as possible. I don't build any farms until later on, and you'll see that too. The primary and most urgent factor of this location is to try to get your gold as soon as possible. We'll turn show fog on since it's mostly going to be a point of view video from my perspective. Alright, we'll put it on ×2 speed. Well, we'll put it on ×6 speed while we get the school up, as we know exactly how that's going to play out. You see, I nicely did micro my builders in such a way where my woodcutter is up and my serfs are still busy while the school is going to be constructed. This will enable me to get my woodcutter up much faster. Sending 2 laborers to build the woodcutter. We'll keep it on ×6 for now. Okay, and this is where the build starts showing its color. This builder here will by himself start making this road all the way up to the coal. Later on, I will send a second builder, as one builder is not enough to reach this coal by the time my sawmill goes up. You can see I already messed up. This laborer was going to make the building plan for the sawmill. Since building prints are a higher priority than roads, that's why he didn't go to make the road and he went to make the sawmill instead. It's very important that you keep this builder working up on this road by himself continuously, elsewise you'll slow down the speed at which you'll make that coal mine. That is why I deleted the sawmill, and which enabled him to turn around and start making the road. You can see I'm also doing a similar thing down over here. I'm focusing more on this single builder over here, but it is very important that you get your gold mine done before your coal mine, ideally. But if your coal mine's done a little while before your gold mine, that's okay. It is a mistake to have this many laborers making roads and so few building. This is because my serfs are so busy taking wares to the stonemason, and these laborers here are getting some time wasted just waiting for stones that aren't coming. But it's not a huge mistake. You can see everything's already running much more smoothly. Notice how this laborer is continuing to make this road. At this point, I send another laborer up here to start working up in the north, and they'll meet somewhere in the middle. I missed this laborer a few times, but I am correcting my mistakes and returning him to make this road over here. It takes practice learning how to do builder micro. If you're not comfortable with builder micro yet, you'll have a very hard time playing on this location. So I recommend making sure you're very comfortable with your builder micro before attempting this kind of build. You can see these guys are doing a very nice job making the road by themselves. Now this coal mine road is getting done a little too quickly. The road to the gold, you can see, is still quite far from being done. And at this point I should send a couple extra builders down because, as you'll see, my coal mine gets done a little too quickly. Now here I do make a mistake. Both of these laborers are going to construct a house, and once a house is being constructed, there's no way to turn them around without deleting the house, which of course is a foolish mistake. So until then, my micro was quite solid on this coal mine road, but you can see it's not a huge problem. I'm not losing too much time, and my gold is a little far behind anyway, so it's not a big deal. Since this woodcutter is so close to the center of my base, I am placing these buildings down to kind of hold a spot. I don't want the woodcutter to plant any trees in this area. I'm planning on putting swine farm right here. No, I put my inn right here. I'm planning on building my inn here, so I want to avoid the woodcutter to planting any trees right here. You can notice here I'm at 25 stone with only 2 stonemasons and my third going up. So you can see that the large amount of starting stone is very nice for this location, as it'll enable you to focus more on getting gold mines up and less on building stonemasons. You can see this coal mine is already done, and the road to the gold is still a little short, so ideally that road should be done, and that will enable me to get my gold a little faster. It's still reasonable timing. Since this road is already as complete as I can get at this stage, I start building my farm. I'm running low on stone, a little lower than I want to be, so I go ahead and build my 4th stonemason and send my laborers to make some fields. If you're running low on stone and you're concerned about it, you can always send your laborers to make fields early, and this will enable your stonemasons to catch up a little bit, as fields of course are free. This is just not intentional, this is a mistake. I should be building the road to this farm. The elevation here got a little messed up, so that's why I'm building the road there. The time would have been a little faster had my road to this gold mine been done sooner. But you can see at 13 minutes I'm going to be cruising with my gold production ready to be set up, with my gold mine and coal mine running. Or not running, but constructed. Which is good timing. Gold production will likely start around 16.5 minutes. No more than 18 builders should be trained until you have your gold production running. Or at least ready to run. Okay, now that my gold production is nice and definitely going to be sound, I need to start focusing quickly on wood, otherwise I will have problems later on with constructing buildings. So I'm going to put one woodcutter down here. He will cut only, and this will give me lots of wood and solve immediate wood problems with this woodcutter. This will give me enough to build for about 10 minutes or so, perhaps longer. And I'm placing the woodcutter here in hopes that he'll do lots of planting, and that will, and by the time this woodcutter here has run out of trees to cut, this guy will start cutting. I'm not intending on making my iron mine yet, but I'm gonna hold the place down and worry about that after this coal mine is up or starting to be constructed. At 15 minutes, my gold smelter is starting to be constructed. I do have one farm already. Well, not already, but one farm and one metallurgist. And we'll compare this to Weekend. You can see he has 2 farms, already has his metallurgist up, and 2 sawmills. His inn is already done. So you can see he is also quite a bit further ahead of me. He also has his 3rd woodcutter already done, making a 4th. So you can see Weekend is quite a bit faster, but this is again, of course, since location 4 is a bit slower to start. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm not too far behind at all, especially considering that my woodcutter placement is much better than his, as these 3 woodcutters don't have a lot of room to work, and they will run out of trees not in quite a short time, as all his woodcutters are in the same vicinity. Ideally, he should be fetching the wood over here in not too long a time, as he'll run out of wood for quite a while with just woodcutters up here. Anyway, we'll go back down here since this is what's important. See, gold is running. As with any location, it's important to make sure that you have your second sawmill up before you run out of your initial timber. Otherwise, you'll have a very hard time catching up with timber at all. So I'm doing exactly that. By the time this sawmill goes up, I should be out of my initial timber supplies. Or at least very close to it, since I'm building my inn, which of course is a very expensive building. It's definitely due time to get my iron production going, so here I am. Earlier I mentioned the cons and pros to location 4, and I forgot to mention one of the best pros, and this is the only location on the map that has fish. I believe there's 50 total up here and 40 down here. I might be backwards, but there's 90 fish total. This pond and this pond together, and then the ocean. It's the only location on the map that has fish in any practical sense. Location 3 does have fish, but it's very hard to take, and most players aren't taking it at all. It is possible for late game. But location 4's fish is much more plentiful and much more practical. And that's a very nice bonus, as you have access to another supply of food that no one else does. It would be even more of a bonus if the starting resources were a bit lower, but as you can see, there's a lot of food on this map. 40 starting fish, 40 starting bread, and 30 sausages. Even without fish, that's the amount of food is quite plentiful. You can see gold has run out, so it's really important that I start working on my second gold mine. I do forget to make this road. That is a mistake. It should be made right now, along with a second gold smelter, which should be constructed. However, you'll see I forget to do that, and it is delayed a little bit. That will cause some immediate problems in gold production. You can see that my sawmill is not working. That's a mistake. This sawmill should be working. I simply just don't have enough timber to keep it filled. I shouldn't say timber, I don't have enough tree trunks to keep it full. Third farm going up. At 22 minutes is of course pretty late for my third farm, but it's not bad. In the end, it'll be okay. Fifth stonemason going up. I'm quite low on stone in my storehouse, and it's very, very, very painful to run out of stone, as nothing can be done except building or plowing fields, but that doesn't really buy you a whole lot of time anyway. So it's definitely better to have too much stone than not enough, so I go ahead and start making that right now. Now, actually, this is a mistake. I had blocked delivery of wares to the sawmill, and that's why he isn't working at all, whereas this one's full. The reason I did that is because I had quite a few tree trunks lying around in my woodcutters, about 3 or 4 of them lying around across my city. And this second sawmill was being constructed. I didn't want all of my tree trunks to go to one sawmill, so I disabled the sawmill that was already running. It probably wasn't needed, but I like to do little things like that to boost my production for a minute or two. However, of course, it was a mistake because in the long run, I just shot myself in the foot as I forgot about my sawmill. I compensate by this by building my third sawmill a little early. It's about time to make it anyway, since it's about 30 minutes into the game, but nevertheless, I do have some problems with with timber. This will be a problem as my farms will be a little late, and that's just a simple mistake. The build so far has been very logical, and had I not just made that silly little mistake, my farms would have been much better, but nevertheless. As soon as your first iron smithy goes up, and this is the same for any location, you should really try to get your second iron mine done as quickly as possible. And this is because iron smithies work much faster than iron mines. Therefore, one iron mine cannot keep up with one iron smithy by himself. 2 iron mines is a little bit extra, which is nice. It will enable you to get your second iron smithy running more quickly. Since 2 iron smithies are outproducing 2 iron mines by a lot, it is definitely important to get your third iron mine up as soon as possible, if not at the same time as your second iron smithy goes up. This will enable your iron production to work much faster. And there we go, at about 30 minutes into the game, or before 30 minutes in, we have about 3 farms and 2 pig farms with our iron production starting, so we'll speed it up as the rest of the build is pretty basic. I like to put my barracks on the top. It is a little weaker because the position is a bit harder to defend. This does enable you to bring soldiers to the fight faster, which is more important in team games. But I like this placement for the barracks. This causes traffic along this area, as this is the only road going to the barracks. These shortcuts, especially from this iron smithy to the barracks, is very important, along with additional roads up through here, as this road gets a lot of traffic. Still, though, you won't be able to solve your traffic problems until you make this second road going around the Iron Mountain. And the sooner you get that road up, the better. It doesn't take too long to make it, since your stonemasons are so close. We're still a few farms behind, but with 3 sawmills it shouldn't be too hard to catch up. An early tannery. It's very nice to get your tannery up as soon as possible, as this will enable your iron leather production to be much smoother. With 3 sawmills running and not a lot being built, I'll construct my weapons workshop a little early. Perhaps it would have been better to make additional farms, I do not know. You'll have to ask a better player. However, this is the decision I went with. I do like early weapons workshops, as I can turn them off and on depending on how much timber I have lying around. If I have lots of timber lying around like I do right now, I'll turn it on for a moment, and once these start running out or appear to not have enough tree trunks in the near future, I'll turn it off. You can see this fisherman has been working for quite some time, so I have quite a bit of food stocked up, even without my butcher running, which will start working shortly. can see I'm starting to work on my third iron mine, since my second iron smithy is done. And even with my second iron mine being done quite a bit before my first iron smithy, you can see that it's still not working, which is why it's important to have this third iron mine up as quickly as possible. And here's that road I was speaking of earlier. The position of this road is still quite nice, as this will enable this free square in front of the barracks, enabling my troops to leave it much faster. At 42 minutes, I'm starting to produce leather armor already. I have extra timber piled up, so I'm able to continue to make wooden weapons. You can see I'm a little low on woodcutters. I just built my 6th one. As you can see, I deleted this woodcutter inside my base, and this woodcutter down here, so I'm a little behind on woodcutters, and this will cause problems in the future with wood production. My 4th iron mine is finished, so my iron production should be working smoothly in the near future, with my 3rd iron smithy going up. I'm starting to take the additional fish that's down here. Remember that fishermen can work 14 tiles away, so you can build them quite a ways away from the water. I could have even built them up a little further, probably. But it's very frustrating to build a fisherman and find out that he's too far away, so I don't mind being safe within 12 to 13 tiles as opposed to 14. Remember, it also takes 1.6 tiles for a citizen to walk diagonally, which is very hard to calculate in your head. You can see I have a nice blockade up here, very hard to attack through here. In addition, it's very hard to form a large army through here, as this pawn is quite a problem in the defense, but that's okay. You can see already that this area here is being chopped away, so it's not too hard to put some bowmen up through here. This tower by himself is covering this area just enough to kill scouts. This one tower by himself, of course, isn't going to help much with an actual army attacking. And I am making tower over here as well. You can see my armies come along quite nicely. I have my 2 weapon smithies, so they'll catch up to this armor in due time. My stable has produced its first horse, and you can see I already have quite a bit of bowmen. I'm starting to work on my 3rd gold mine, as my recruit production is a little behind. I do have plenty of serfs though, which is nice. This will enable my economy to run rather efficiently. It is very important that you get your 2nd school up before 22 minutes, as this will enable you to make additional serfs. Now, if you are able to keep up with serf production early on from nice gold production, 2nd early gold smelter, never running out of gold, etc., then you don't need a 2nd school so early. You can even make it as late as 18 minutes, but if you're like me on this location, you know, you didn't make your 2nd gold smelter until quite a bit later, then of course you will want to make your 2nd school a little earlier in order to catch up faster. And you can see here my 3rd metallurgist also going up late into peacetime. And this will enable me to continue to produce many recruits and spam. Since 2 schools do outproduce, or do work faster than 2 metallurgists, excuse me, let me rephrase, 2 metallurgists can't keep up with 2 schools running non-stop, so a 3rd metallurgist will enable you to have plenty of gold, and then when 1 metallurgist goes to eat, your schools will still be well supplied. Remember, schools never have to take a break as long as their serf production is keeping up with them, so that's why metallurgists just can't keep up. But anyway, the final resulting army, you can see I started making pike, which is a very nice addition to my army. I am lacking some recruits, but it is quite hard to get more than 65. Not impossible, but it is kind of somewhat difficult if you don't start recruit production right away. Anyway, I have 42 bowmen, 5 horses, 35 swords, a couple of extra swords already, and a couple of a little less iron armor than I need, but this will balance out later on. And we'll compare this to Weekend's army right away. You can see my army is slightly larger. He has a few more horses. So just in 60 minutes, I was able to produce a bit more than Weekend, when Weekend is playing on what many people considered the superior location. And even though the match wasn't meant to be post-peacetime, we'll go ahead and show you anyway, since you had to endure through the whole video. As always, in one-on-one and in any map, it's very important to scout to the edges. So you see me send my knight all the way to the edge of the map right away. This will enable me to catch any scouts that he slips by or any army he sends through. Well, I guess I didn't go all the way to the edge, but pretty close. Good enough. Especially since this cuts through here, so I'll see anything that passes through here. I'm using a knight on a tower. It's never nice. Not paying attention. And obviously in 2 vs 2, when you're playing top versus bottom, this area here is something you don't need to worry about. But it's 1 vs 1, so I do, and I know he has a knight around here somewhere, so I'm looking for him. I'm pretty confident, and in 1 vs 1, or pretty confident in my army. And in 1 vs 1, I'm always pretty aggressive. I have no one to worry about. I have no communication gap, so it's pretty easy to be aggressive, I think, which is why I like to do that. In addition, it can be favorable to be aggressive when it's location 4 versus location 2, since it's very hard for location 2 to leave his base after you take this position, as it's very hard to push out of here. In return, though, it's very hard to push inside this base. However, you'll see many people make a mistake on location 2, and you can take advantage of this. If they have their barracks where this market is, you can just take position right here and then shoot, and you can kill a lot of his economy and almost nullify it, as he's not able to take soldiers out of his barracks since you're sitting right on top of it. Another factor you might want to consider, especially in team games where the action might be a little more over here on this side of the map. It's rare, most of the time the action's over here. But this area over here is very hard for location 2 to defend. Even if his army is right here, it's hard for him to bring his army over here if he has his coal mines positioned in a way other than how Weekend has it. Weekend's playing this location correct. He has his coal mines in a straight line, and this area down here is empty, so he can move soldiers back and forth easily to defend this area when needed. And he also has his barracks in a safe spot, so I can't just camp underneath these mountains and kill his economy. These things you can take advantage of as location 4, though, as many players do put their coal mines in a strange way where they can't get through here. You know, they have coal mines all the way down here, which is nice. They're taking all the coal, but they're not able to move back and forth so easily. Either way, I continue with my attack. You can see the addition of pikes is very nice. It's making it quite difficult for him to do anything with his horses. The reason I sent my knights up through here is to do some additional scouting. It's nice to scout as much as you can. I am using the technique of having 2 groups of bowmen, one to shoot the tower and one to step slightly ahead of these bows to kill off any bows that are trying to defend the tower. You can see towers fall rather quickly when your opponent makes no effort to defend them. The reason I went to kill that knight is because I hit it enough times where I believe 2 knights could kill it and run out of there quick enough to not die. You see, I just barely got out of there. Or almost made it out of there in time, but I didn't. In terms of material, we did balance out, though, so it was 1 knight for 1 knight. Sometimes that pays off, sometimes it doesn't. If you have a very good feel for the game and the hit points, then you'll be able to tell when you can and can't do that. Here I notice Weekend is making a big mistake. He's dancing with all of his horses. This is a problem because your horses are bumping into each other and they can't dodge arrows as well. In addition, arrows that miss the knights in the front will just merely hit the knights in the back. But even more importantly, I have my pikes nearby. If I were to catch these horses, I could bring my pikes in quickly and then just devastate his ranks. And that's my plan at the moment. And here I decided to do just that. It didn't work out as nicely as I would have liked, but I did manage to get 1 pike on the horse here. Even more importantly, my position's a little bit better. I'm able to get more soldiers on his, and I do have all my bows shooting, whereas he has some missing. In the end, I only come on top in this fight because I have more numbers. And then it's just a matter of cleaning up the soldiers. Weekend fights gallantly, but there's little he can do without a teammate to defend him. So of course, after the first fight, as usual, the 1 versus 1 game is over. We'll quickly look at the statistics. You can see I had a nice spam, a nice economy. Everything worked out rather well. From the early on, I was already producing a bit more than Location 2. Of course, you have to consider maybe Weekend had an off game, or I may just played a superb game. Nevertheless, you can see that Location 4 is able to compete very nicely, even in a head-to-head matchup. And in my opinion, I believe Location 4's biggest weakness is that Location 3 is not on his team. Or not in his team. And Location 3 is, without doubt, the biggest problem on this map, and well, in my opinion anyway. As Location 3 is definitely very powerful in peacetime and has an incredible late game. Location is also very difficult to attack, but that's for another video. You can see I was able to capitalize nicely on this fish, as my food produced was much higher even without any bread. I was making a bakery, but I never ended up using it, as the game ended too quickly. But there you have it. That's Location 4 in all its glory. It can be played even better, and it can be played much worse. But the main idea here is to get your gold running as quickly as possible and try not to sacrifice too much during that time. I hope you see Location 4 in a different light now and give Wilderness a try. The fights here are just incredible, and in 2 vs 2, when you get yourself a good teammate, it's true Knights and Merchants gameplay. Every soldier counts. The fights are not as large. It's not as much about huge numbers. Much more about maneuvers, communication. Anyway, we'll see you around for the next shoutcast. Bye-bye.